This is the J. Ramone podcast, and I am joined by two special guests. On my far left, Austin John Winkler.
Hello.
And then why don't you go and introduce your special guest that you brought up here today?
This, my friend, is the very talented Brennan Hunt.
Hola.
Brennan, welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay, for having us.
I reached out to Austin as soon as I saw the flyer for the show coming up at Beam Live. Right. So before we get started, let's get the plugs out of the way now. That way everybody gets the information before we get into the meat and potatoes. So this is going to be a songwriter style, correct?
Right, absolutely.
So like they do in Nashville, where you get all these songwriters together and you kind of play the songs that you've written and play each other's songs and tell stories and all of that jazz?
Yeah, and it's something I've never done before. Brennan asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, I've never done that. It sounds pretty cool. I've seen him before, so.
Well, I was going to, I guess it helps if I turn my microphone up here. I was going to ask you if that was something that you had ever done before.
No, it's not, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I haven't done one, so it could be a train wreck. You know?
I doubt it.
I've been to lots of these in Nashville, and I've been to several of them here. Like Zach Malloy does one every year here.
Yeah.
And I love hearing all of the stories behind the songs that the artists have written, or a songwriter who's written it that I'd never seen before.
Right.
So I'm kind of excited, but this is also for a good cause.
Absolutely. It's well, Brennan, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So my wife, she's worked nonprofit forever, and she's always asked me to help her with her causes. And she works for Focus on Home, which is here in Oklahoma City. And what they do is they work with Homeless Alliance and other people who house homeless. But what they do is they take from their warehouse and furnish these properties, whether it be lampshades or beds to TVs, anything that makes a home feel like a home. They want to make these people feel like they have a home and not just a mattress on a floor and say, well, here's your leg up.
That's something that we take for granted.
Having
a chair and a bed to sleep in, those little things. When you go from being homeless, when you start over, you really start over from scratch. So this is a very important organization here.
And some of these people have kids too, and it's like they don't, have toys, or they don't have TV shows to watch on Apple TV or whatever it is that we definitely take for granted,
So let's talk about some of the artists who are involved. I know, Austin, you're going to be playing. Brennan, you're going to be playing. The guys in Aranda are involved. Who else is involved?
Liza Black, who's a new artist, and
Lacey Saunders was supposed to be there, but her flight is not going to be back in time, so I've called Damien to see if he can help us find another local act to play and open up for it. So they're going to do probably a 30-40 minute set, and then me, Austin, Liza, and Aranda will do the writers round.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the date of the event again?
It is
July 26th.
There you go, baby.
Friday.
Next Friday.
Sitting next to my cheat sheet.
Friday, July 26th.
So you
7 o'clock, right?
7 o'clock.
Yep, 7 o'clock.
You don't want to miss it. Friday, July 26th, Beam Live, which is inside 50 Penn Place, right across from Penn Square Mall here in Oklahoma City. Tickets are available in advance, and they can buy them where?
You can buy them, I believe, on Beam's website or Focus on Home. They're $50 now, but if you buy them at the door, I think they're $60.
So I'll put the link in the description of this podcast and post a link as well so people can find the ticket link easily.
Excellent.
But Austin, I wanted to talk to you for a while. We talked at Catfest at the zoo. A lot of people don't know. The storms came in, and the middle of the show was postponed because of that thunderstorm and the lightning and all that. And then the rest of the show resumed. I think Hailstorm got to play, and then one more band got to play.
I think so.
But there was a special thing that we had worked on leading up to it. A lot of people don't know Giovanni and the Hired Guns. They have covered Lips of an Angel live for years and years and years. And so they had a hit song at the time, and we were playing it here at the Cat, and they were a part of Catfest.
Right.
And so Jake Daniels reached out to you and said, hey, what if we put two and two together and connected the dots? Is this something you would want to do? And so I was really excited to see you perform again at the Zoo Amphitheater and all of that. But unfortunately, the rain came.
Wasn't in the cards, Jay.
Ruined our
Wasn't in the
party.
cards.
Yeah, man.
So Austin, let's talk about your career now that you've gone out on your own.
Yeah.
What was it, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, when you're in California and you're writing songs, and then at what point did you meet Hugo from Tantric? Was that 2013?
I think that was 2013. Yeah, I came out to Nashville actually, and they were doing a record, and I went and wrote with him and did a couple songs on their record. Yeah.
And then from there, you put out your first solo EP.
Lovesick Radio EP. Yeah. I mean, I was a train wreck when I put that out, and I listen to it now, and the songs are good and whatnot, but it was very experimental. It was very like I kind of wanted to dabble in the pop world, and I did it. I scratched that itch, and I'm actually back doing what I love best, is rock and roll.
So when you were in Hinder, what was the number of songs that you guys would write for a record cycle? When you're in there working on a record, how many songs would you guys kind of put together to determine what's going to go on the record?
That's a good question. On the first record, Extreme Behavior, which was our most successful record, we literally only wrote 11 when there's 11 on the CD. And for the second record, it was kind of the same deal. We only wrote about 12, and I can't remember. I think there's 10, and then there's a bonus deluxe with 12 on it. So then those, the first record is 4 times platinum. The second record went gold, and so for some reason, I guess we thought we should write 75 songs for the third one.
I thought and you guys were crazy then.
And we did. We wrote like about 75 songs and narrowed it down to 10, which is, it didn't have the same success rate as so I think, future writing, I think I'm just going to write what I think is for the record.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
For sure.
And back then, the major labels were such an important part of the music industry and getting your song at radio, and there were so many opinions thrown in there that were not a part of the band that said, this is what we think should be the single, or this is what we think you should go with. And it's hard to navigate those waters when you have so many people chirping at you. But on that third record, the song you guys wrote with Jeffrey Steele,
Red Tail Lights.
Yeah. I thought that was the single that the label completely missed the boat on.
Man, I love that. I love that track, and I loved working with him. And we never even played that song live, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
That blows my mind, because I went when I got the record, I was like, holy shit! Like, this song is incredible.
Yeah, it was a great experience writing with him too. He's probably one of the best musicians, and I've been in the room with a lot of them, and he's probably one of the best.
He's incredible.
Incredible songwriter.
Yeah, absolutely.
That guy, I'd like to see what he's doing now. I haven't, I don't work in country radio anymore.
I think he's drowning in his money.
There's a documentary that I watched on Amazon Prime called Tennessee Whiskey, the Dean Dillon story. And Dean Dillon was the guy who was like the first call writer for Keith Whitley back in the day, and then when Keith Whitley passed away, he became kind of George Strait's guy.
Right.
And in that documentary, he talks about his daily routine of getting his exercise, going and getting his mailbox money, walking to the mailbox and getting that check and coming back.
Yeah, that's cool. I have to check that out.
Dean's a big deal.
Dean's the real deal.
Yeah.
So fast forward to getting sober. How was that?
I wish I could have fast forward to getting sober. That would have been phenomenal.
Because you were in the hospital for several months.
I was, man. I was in the hospital for 3 months, so a whole summer in 2019, and I had to relearn how to walk and all that stuff. And it's a trip, man. I feel like sometimes I haven't even processed that stuff yet.
That is a complete U-turn.
Oh yeah.
Like, having to relearn how to walk, that's kind of like Jerry Garcia coming out of his coma, and learning how to do everything again.
Yeah.
So how difficult was it to pick up the guitar and start writing again once you got sober and cleared your head?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a struggle. Like, I had fallen out of love with music, and, I was obviously very, very sick. And I happened to just pick up on one day and just started writing a song called Super Jaded, and that kind of pulled me out of my funk.
when you sent me that song, I was completely blown away, because the last time we had spoke was when you had released your EP, and you had told me that you were really focusing on writing in a pop direction. And I just hadn't seen you. You hadn't played any shows, and I didn't know what you had been going through in your personal life.
Right.
So when I got that song and I opened it up, I was just like, holy shit. He found the magic again.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So tell me about what it was like getting into the studio and the vocal booth to cut these songs in a sober frame of mind, because I know how you guys did things before.
Right.
And it was not sober.
Absolutely not. No, I hardly remember some of those songs that I sang in the studio whenever we were back in the day. But this was, it was definitely a little different. But I mean, at the same time, it was like my life force. It was like giving me energy and giving me, hope and stuff. So I mean, it was different, but at the same time, I was just in there to get it done,
Well, instead of faking those emotions, those are real emotions coming out of you.
Oh, absolutely. And, those are real emotions on all my tracks, to be honest. I mean, it's just in a different way. I mean, I'm not lit. Let's just say that.
When you're present in the moment, it's a far different experience. The colors are a little more vivid.
Right. Absolutely. And, I don't take that for granted, but, I think that I also, I still have the marijuana in my life, which is, it's different. It's different for everybody. Everybody's sober looks different, but I've been through way too much for me to not have a little bit of something for me to lean on.
Well, I think it's very important what has happened in the state of Oklahoma with 788. And it's helped a lot of people get sober, Austin.
Let me say this. Like, if marijuana had been legal when I was growing up and they hadn't made me completely terrified of it, I maybe my outlook and my outcome may have been different, because now I lean on it and I can go into the dispensaries and I can be like, what works for me? I'm not going in there to get stoned out of my mind. I'm going in there to take a little edge off so I can survive this life.
We're not going to the car wash and picking up a bag anymore. Like, there's real science behind
Absolutely.
this, and the terpenes and the cannabinoid profile and what ailments it's good for, whether it be pain relief or sleep or nausea or whatever. We're going into it with an educated approach now instead of just $20 in a sketchy dude at the corner.
Dude, absolutely, and that's what I try to tell people. Like, it's so much healthier for me to go in and be like, what works and what doesn't work.
I completely agree, and I can, from being around you in both settings, I can tell you're in a much better frame of mind and at peace with yourself mentally now, whereas before, it was just pedal down. With
absolutely.
No regard to reality.
Absolutely, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm grateful for marijuana and to have the license. You know what I mean? It's just it's changed my outlook on everything.
Because even with somebody who has anxiety,
right,
the alternatives are so bad for your organs that it's almost worth it just to have the anxiety.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we've known each other a long time, so we can do this nonstop.
Man, I'm a fly on the wall. I'm enjoying it.
So Brennan, tell me about your music and your music career.
So I moved to, before, try not to get into a long version of it, I moved to Nashville in 2007. I'm from Hera originally.
Okay.
So moved there to be a singer-songwriter and wrote songs for a living. People like Jeffrey Still, learning from the likes of him and other amazing songwriters who have had crazy success. But my career kind of took a turn in 2015 as I was touring and opening for acts and writing into the acting world. And so I did my first acting job on the TV show Nashville, did a guest spot on that. And then I was eaten, or what do you call it, bitten by the
That's
bug.
where I recognize you, dude, because I binge watched that show when it first
I had
came
long
out.
hair when it was with Christina Aguilera, and that whole, I played her best friend. That was like the what was his name from Entourage, the lead actor.
Oh, I'm spacing now.
God, what's his character name? Anyway, Vinny Chase. So my character was kind of based off of him in that episode. And so anyway, when I did that, I had no idea what I was doing. People just told me, "You look good on camera. You should try this." And with the push of the casting director, Jeannie Bacharach at the time, she worked to try to find me a spot. Got it. And then from there, I started working with acting coaches and really taking it serious while I was still working, and having my little features in Rolling Stone Country and having songs on CMT.
Did you have a label deal in Nashville?
I never did. The funny thing is my near miss was I was in Mike Dungan's office at Universal, and I had just gotten done writing with Vince Gill, and Vince kind of took me under his wing. And I sit down, I'm opening my guitar up, and I've got all the A&R in. And as I'm getting my guitar to tune it, Mike says, "Well, I ran into Vince Gill the other day." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, he had nothing but great things to say about you and said you got to check this kid out." And I didn't even tell him I was meeting with you today. So I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So in my mind, I was like, "I'm getting a record deal today." Well, I do my song and dance, and he's, praising me. He's like, "You remind me of Don Henley, which is one of my heroes." And he goes, "But the problem is I just signed a kid named Sam Hunt a couple of weeks before you came into my office, and we're kind of..."
Dude.
And my first name, get this, is Samuel. Samuel Brennan Hunt is my full name, so
yeah, you were screwed. You're dead in the water.
So I had no opportunity. I had a bunch of interest in all that, but at the same time, the acting world kind of just took over. And so from there, I was Roger Davis in Rent Live on Fox. So me and my family went to LA and did that, and then I went to Broadway and played the Richard Gere role in Pretty Woman on Broadway as the lead in that.
Dope.
And then so musical theater kind of took over, and I was supposed to make my Kennedy Center debut as Conrad Birdie in Bye Bye Birdie with James Vanderbeek and Harvey Fierstein. And I booked that on a Monday, and then Wednesday is when the NBA shut down here, and then Thursday the world was just... So, but, everything happens for a reason. And, we were living in New York at the time because I'd just come off Broadway. And we ended up coming back to Oklahoma City. We got a place in Quail Creek, and because we had kids, and we had to figure out what are we going to do during this shutdown. So we ended up back here in Oklahoma, which has been a huge blessing for us because all of our family is here, all the cousins, and so our kids really freaking love being back here, and really being true Thunder fans, being in the city again is nice. But I wrote a movie out of this whole process talking about experiences I probably would have never written in my life, and now I'm producing a movie that I co-wrote with my buddy Bradley Bredewig, and Elliot from E.T., Henry Thomas, is going to make his directorial debut in it, and Annie Potts from Ghostbusters and Young Sheldon is already attached to be in it. So all of these things have kind of happened in my...
Are you shooting it here, or are you shooting
We are going to shoot it here. So
unbelievable.
So if anybody's got $9 million, we're raising $9 million right now, baby. So
hit me up. I can connect the dots. I'll get you his number. Away we go.
So yeah, but music is, you chase one thing and then these doors close and you go this way, and but I'm hoping with this movie I'm going to compose the score for it. I've got my Pat Benatar shirt on, so I did a musical with her, and going to try to get Pat in it because it's like a 1985.
Was she awesome?
She's incredible.
I've seen her so many times because she's played Oklahoma City like every summer, whether it be Frontier City or the Zoo Amphitheater, and it's always a good show.
She's the sweetest human being on the planet.
That's awesome.
I can't have nothing bad to say about her.
I love stories
and
like
she's
that.
still hot as hell. I'm just like, Pat, damn.
So you left Hera and you moved to Nashville to pursue music.
Yes.
So did you have a publishing deal?
I did. I went through about 3 of those.
Okay.
And then on my 3rd one, my option came up, and my wife, we just had our 2nd child, and it's kind of funny how, God and the universe works. Everybody in town knew who I was. I was there for 13 years to this point, meeting with everybody, and just nobody would sign me. And it was like one of those "what the hell am I going to do" moments. And then that's when I got the email to audition for
Did
Rent.
you get any cuts the time period where you had a publishing deal?
The majority of my cuts were kind of out of the country. It's in Australia. My first major cut was a song that Vince Gill and I wrote called "I Can't Do This," and he put it on his record in 2016, titled "Down to My Last Bad Habit." So one of my Oklahoma heroes cut my first song. So it was kind of a cool moment for me having a Vince Gill cut.
Yeah.
Somebody I've always admired.
My two boys, I've got two kids, two boys, 6 and 11. My oldest goes to class in SAS now. But in elementary school, he went to Cleveland Elementary there, 23rd in May. And that's where my youngest goes. But that's where Vince Gill went to elementary school.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited when I walked in the door and they told me that. I'm like, okay, they'll do okay. They'll do just fine.
And now he's in the freaking Eagles. It's like kind of know an Eagle. It's the weirdest thing ever.
And it's pretty hard to upgrade at the guitar position for the Eagles.
Oh.
But I feel like they did when they brought in him.
You know, I saw them make their Grand Ole Opry debut. I guess that was 2017 when he first joined, and Deacon Fry was filling in for his dad, Glenn. And it was really cool because it was all these country artists from Reba to, Brooks and Dunn, everybody just gawking over the Eagles and being jealous over Vince that they weren't in the band. But they didn't let him play much guitar. And I'm like, dude,
it's the best
he's
part.
He's the best guitar player in the band.
In the building, maybe.
This last show, I took my parents to see them at BOK, and he's playing a lot more guitar now. And I'm like, it's about time.
Finally figured it out.
You let the Okie play a little bit.
So, as a Vince Gill fan, outside of the ones that you've written with him, what's your favorite Vince Gill song?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. My favorite to cover is probably Pretty Little Adriana.
Okay.
I just love his voice, and I love his guitar solo on that.
His record, I can't remember what year it was, late 2000s, called Guitar Slinger.
Oh, it's amazing.
That record is by far my favorite record of
So
his
good.
from front to back. And that song, Threaten Me With Heaven.
Oh, dude, you talk about...
You will be in tears by the end of it.
It's a gut-wrencher.
And before it came out, I was working the CMA Awards, and he was doing like a preview of the record where he was playing it acoustic and telling stories behind the songs. And it's just him and a guitar. There was no other pickers. It's him. And I'm left there just like boo-hooing, sobbing. Blew my mind.
He's... of any genre, I don't care what genre it is. Genres are bullshit, but he's
100%.
He's literally like, and I've been around a lot of, like I worked for Robert Plant for a couple of years as his like driver and runner on one tour. I've been around them all, and he is the only guy that just still gives me chills when I'm in the room. Just him and a guitar. It's like there's some kind of magic about his God-given talent. It's unbelievable.
Dude's unreal.
It's unreal, and he's a good old Okie.
I love it. Have you ever looked back at the YouTube video? Because I know it's on YouTube because I saw it when he was in Mountain Smoke and they were opening. I believe it was for Kiss at the Civic Center.
Yeah.
And Mountain Smoke was not a rock band, but they were the biggest band in Oklahoma
I think
City.
I told you about this story.
And they're getting booed, and he's dropping F-bombs and giving him the finger.
He
Vince
mooned
Gill.
him. He mooned him too. He's a good old Okie.
awesome.
That's like the sweetest, kindest human being. But if you cross him, he'll whip your ass.
Well, that's how we all are.
That's the way it is. I told him that story
That's good, man.
When he and I started working together, I was actually producing Mountain Smoke.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I produced their 50th record, and so I was kind of sharing all the Vince Gill Mountain Smoke
Dude, there's
kind of
some
stuff.
rad stories from back in the day. They were rowdy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great Okie artists, clearly. I mean, it's like...
The lineage goes
It's
deep.
insane.
Like, you go back to Vince Gill, he was rowdy, and then at the same time, Otis Watkins was running around playing. Like, this was a rough place to play. You had to pay your dues and earn it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
They're all hanging out the Red Dog late at night.
So,
Red Dog, man.
you're not lying.
I'm not lying.
So, Austin, now that you're back in the swing of things again, and you've put out several songs, what's next?
Well, right now, I'm working on a new project, a new rock project that this man is producing, which has been a lot of fun and just super experimenting and like, I don't know, man. I don't want to say a whole lot about it. I don't want to even tell you the name of it, but it's been really hard not to share any of it. I'll just say that, like really hard.
See, I'm one of those guys. I have bands reach out to me all the time for the local talent show, and they say, "Hey, we've been working on this. I'm gonna send you some demos to hear." I'm like, "Don't do that.
Right.
I don't want to hear the demos.
Yeah.
I want you to finish it, and then send me what you want me to play.
Right.
Because I don't want to hear a half-finished project. I want to.
Right.
I want to hear the finished thing.
Yeah.
Unless I'm
I feel
working
it.
on it. If I'm working on it, it's totally different. But I want to be blown away by the whole
It's
thing.
fun to hear the demos after the fact.
Yes. After the fact, I want to hear that stuff, but beforehand, I don't. I want to hear the final and then see where it came from afterwards.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't wait to share this project, but we're knee deep in it right now. So,
and he's bringing some.
Well, when you're ready,
stuff.
Let me know.
I'm excited. Like, you know, like you mentioned, I had released Super Jaded and American Dreams, and like that is kind of just to establish and let the world know that I'm back in the swing of things, and you know, back to my rock roots. And this stuff that we're doing right now is just I'm over the moon about it. I can't wait for everybody to hear it.
One other thing that I saw that you've done within the last year is this Lips of an Angel Part 2 from the female perspective.
You know, yeah, that was a pretty crazy deal. Like I had gotten a call from Brian House, the original producer of that record, and TikTok. There was all these girls doing their own versions of it, and we're like, let's just do it. If we're gonna do it, let's just do it. And he had an artist, Shaylin, who was just gonna do the demos, and she actually just nailed it and did an amazing job, and she's just got a record deal, and she's starting to really blow up too. So it's, you know, it turned out excellent, and I've been flying here and there to kind of play some festivals and stuff. We're actually going to do it here at the Oklahoma State Fair this year. She's coming to play the show, and we'll go and do that version.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Dude, I'm so excited for you. And
Thank you, man.
I'm excited to see you doing well.
Thank you.
And excited to see that you're writing and you're recording and being creative again and kind of finding your way.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it, so I appreciate that.
And Brennan, thank you so much for coming
Jay,
up. I appreciate
for having
it.
Me, man. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Let's plug the show one more time. Beam Live, 50 Penn Place, July 26th.
Yep.
Aranda, Austin John Winkler, Brennan,
Liza Black,
and
maybe a surprise guest. Surprise guest.
To be determined.
Yeah.
Do you want to come open up, bro?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do stand up. I'll do whatever.
Stand up. I like it.
Love it.
Well, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.